our ninth week in our Song of Solomon study. You know, this week's chapter, and just to remind everyone, we are on chapter 9 in the book The Sacred Journey, God's Relentless Pursuit of Our Affection by Brian and Candace Simmons. We are in chapter 2 this week of Song of Solomon. And this week had such amazing visuals. And my challenge to everybody is, you know, we talk about the Rose of Sharon in this chapter. We talk about, and just that scent of him, the scent of heaven almost, you know. And then we talk about that there are lilies amongst the thorns, and that beautiful image that we are meant to be this gentle, pleasing presence in the midst of the thorns, in the midst of the thorns of our life, in the midst of the thorns of this world, that we are called to be this gentle, pleasing, aromatic presence in the midst of the darkness. What a powerful visual. But even with all of those visuals, the one that absolutely captivated me was this apple tree. In verse 3, chapter 2, verse 3, my beloved is to me, so Jesus is to me the most fragrant apple tree. He stands above the sons of men, sitting under his grace shadow. I blossom in his shade, enjoying the sweet taste of his pleasant, delicious fruit, resting with delight where his glory never fades. Let me just put my name in there for a second. My beloved is to me the most fragrant apple tree. He stands above the sons of men, sitting under his grace shadow. Lisa blossoms in his shade. I enjoy the sweet taste of his pleasant, delicious fruit, resting in delight where his glory never fades. And what absolutely captivated me in this place is that so many times we can go for the grit and the grind over the grace. You know, if we're working so hard at something, you know, I don't know. I just have to stop and say, is God here, or am I truly trying to do this on my own? Am I in his will, or am I in Lisa's will? And I love this idea that this Shulamite woman, we learn in the first chapter that she was sunburnt and she found herself weary, unattractive, depleted, because she had been working in her brother's vineyards, in her brother's ministries, in somebody else's tasks and purposes and plans that the Lord has. In those places when we're striving and we're working outside of his grace and we're doing the grit and the grind by ourselves, we get sunburned, we get depleted, we feel hot, we feel tired, we feel frustrated, aggravated. But what I love is what she has found is that she can blossom in the shadow of the apple tree. So she's out of the sun, she's resting, she's replenished. When you're in the shadow of the apple tree, you are literally relaxing. You are literally just soaking in his presence, following in his will, walking in his footsteps, following his shade. So for me, what that spoke to me so powerfully this week was that where in my life am I in grit and grind and not in grace? Where in my life am I not in the shadow of the apple tree, but actually getting weary and depleted in the sunshine, working in places that I'm not intended to be? So, even in my picture this week, I reflected that in my picture. I did not strive for my picture this week. I laid in my darker shadows first, and then I came back in with the lighter sunlight of the green tree. It's one layer. I did it quick. I didn't stress over it. I didn't overwork it. I stayed in the grace of his shadow, and I let the picture develop, and I called it quits and let it be. And, you know, usually I have a deeper paint, and I go for a different kind of style, and I would really work on that apple tree, the trunk, and make it be more pronounced. But I chose today to create from the grace and the shadow and blossom in the shadow of that apple tree. So guys, this week I encourage us all to drop the grit and the grind, get out of the sun. Let's find the shadow of his apple tree and blossom in his presence. I'll see you next week, guys, in week 10, adding in my little apple trees just with my fingertip. I'll see you next week, guys. Thanks. Bye.